Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru. Okay. So, oh my God. So this is 7th canto, 15th chapter, 15th verse. And Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport, human life is simply meant for developing Krishna consciousness. Now, can you close this door? So, Srila Prabhupada is then even writing further that one need not even try to earn a livelihood to maintain body and soul together. Now, this is a quite interesting instruction because generally we think that we have to do a work, a job to maintain a livelihood, be practical. In fact, some devotees also recommend. They also recommend. So not just recommend, but give courses how to invest in LIC, mutual funds, so that your future is secured. But Bhagavatam doesn't say that. Bhagavatam says one need not even try to earn livelihood to maintain body and soul together. Bhagavatam is opposed to this idea of maintaining yourself by doing some work or job. But of course, that will be quite extreme. You have to do something to maintain yourself. But to propose and to give seminars for actually securing a future and giving courses on mutual funds and all, this is all nonsense otherwise. This clearly seems nonsense. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada clearly writes in the purport that one should not desire to do anything else even to earn his livelihood. There are many examples like Madhven Puri, Sukdev Goswami. The idea here is that a devotee is not concerned about his future. That's the idea. Today is Narottam Das Thakur's appearance day, and even Narottam Das Thakur, he also used to follow this policy of Madhukari. There are two things, Madhukari, and the other thing is Chilonch Vritti, which is also called as Ajgar Vritti or Aher Vritti in this verse. So Madhukari means you go to 5 houses, you beg food, whatever you get, you honor it. If you don't get food in 5 houses, don't go to the 6th house. Sometimes in scriptures it is said go to 5 houses, or sometimes they say 8 houses. But whatever it is, the idea is to not be concerned about future. That is Madhukari. Even more harder and strict than that is Chilonch Vritti, or Ajgar Vritti, or Aher Vritti, where it says that one should sit like a python. And the interesting part of python is, of all animals, python is the only animal which doesn't hunt. It doesn't go for hunting. Every animal hunts its food, but only python is a animal which doesn't hunt the food. Why? Because so python just sits at one place. Whatever food comes, it eats, otherwise it goes hungry. So similarly, they say a devotee should be like python. Whatever comes by own accord, by Krishna's mercy, that a devotee should accept. Otherwise just accept your fortune or misfortune, whatever it is, and be satisfied. That's the whole idea. That is called Chilonch Vritti, but that is very difficult in this age. We can't do that. I mean to say, we can't even do Madhukari if you are living in cities and all these things. You have to do some job. But whether it's 𝗙liche𝗋𝗋 or whether it is Madhukari, the whole idea is not to be concerned about future, as Krishna says. Na shochati na kankshati. Don't think about future. Don't be mad after securing a future. That will be a crazy idea, because who knows what our future holds. Who knows whether we will be able to see our future or not. And that is why it is said, so one of the philosophers, he said, it is foolishness to think about past, because past is past, it has gone. And it is useless to think about future, because it has not yet arrived. So that is why you should think about present, because present is a gift of God, which we are living now. And because it is a gift, that is why it is called a present. Now that's an interesting saying. Present also means gift. So present is a gift, and we are concerned about past and future. So why we should not be concerned about future? Because future is endless. Future is endless. And if you're concerned about future, you'll be thinking about future endlessly, infinitely. And this will not, and then because of that, you will not be able to think about Krishna and apply our mind in Krishna consciousness. That is why all this system is made. That is why Srila Prabhupada says, and actually there's a beautiful example of this. Nityananda Prabhu, when he was having a traveling party and he was going for preaching, he had his servant, and his servant's name was Vrindavan Das Thakur. He was the youngest disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. So this whole party of Nityananda Prabhu with Vrindavan Das Thakur, they reached a village named as Denud. Now Denud is a village of Vrindavan Das Thakur, his own village. And Nityananda Prabhu said, fine, so he took prasadam, and then he asked him, after prasadam he used to take arad. Arad is a herbal spice which you take after food for digestion. So Nityananda Prabhu asked him, can I have arad? So Vrindavan Das Thakur just took it from his pocket and gave him. Nityananda Prabhu said, from where did you get it? He said, well, yesterday I went, so I kept it for you. Nityananda Prabhu said, for this offense, you just get out of my party. I don't want to see your face. So he said, what happened? So Nityananda Prabhu said, see, you are a renunciate. You are a Krishna conscious person, and you are concerned about future. You could have easily gone and begged on the spot and brought arad. And you are concerned about future, and you are also implicating me in all this thinking about future and storing food, which actually a saint should never do. And you are doing all these things, so you get out. So anyway, that was a teaching for public, that a devotee should not hoard things. Hoard, if you understand, HOARD, hoard. We should not unnecessarily keep and accumulate things. In fact, real saints don't even keep food with them. They depend on God for the next day, for food, shelter, and clothing. That is real saints. They live like that. Previously, it was all like that. All saints. I mean to say, not even Vaishnavas, but yogis, jnanis, dhyanis, Shaivites. In India, saints were known by the power of renunciation. They were respected by renunciation, and renunciation was a part of being a sadhu and a saint. That was a custom. So that's why Srila Prabhupada here emphatically writes that one should depend on Krishna and he will give everything. All members of Krishna conscious movement. Now Prabhupada is not just speaking theoretically, but Prabhupada is mentioning on the current affairs. All members of a Krishna conscious movement, whether they be grhastha or sannyasi, you see, should try to spread Krishna consciousness with determination, and Krishna will supply all necessities. Prabhupada is even bringing grhasthas in the same bracket. Prabhupada is saying even grhasthas need not work and earn money. Depend on Krishna, that's all. Even grastas should depend on Krishna, and they should spend their full time in spreading Krishna consciousness. And we have practically seen, and I have personally practically seen this, what do we say, some householders who are actually, who actually don't work anything, they leave their jobs and they preach full time. And they're happy in Krishna consciousness. Krishna supplies to them all necessities and all the financial. These devotees, they have no financial problem. So this might seem very revolutionary idea, and also a very impractical idea. But Prabhupada is mentioning here. Prabhupada is mentioning, and actually Prabhupada is requesting all the members of a Krishna conscious movement. In fact, at the time of Prabhupada, brahmacharis and even householders, they were all full time. If you go to LA, our temple of Rukmani Dwarkadish, it's all surrounded by devotee houses. And when Prabhupada was there, there were like around 100 families living around the temple, who were full time. There were so many families living full time in actually West Virginia project, New Vrindavan. They were staying there, all of them with their kids, and there was no problem. Of course, there were other issues, but as far as maintaining, there was no problem. They were getting their finance and everything. So that is why Srila Prabhupada mentions here that that one should not try to maintain himself. Try to maintain Krishna, and Krishna will maintain you. That's a deal. Yathama prabhadyante tam sathe bhajameham. The more you depend on Krishna, the more Krishna will make you dependent on him, and he will supply all the necessities. There will be absolutely no problems if we depend on Krishna, but that needs little faith. That also requires little, what do we say, little good strong association who can actually guide us, who can actually tell us that okay, we surrender to Krishna, who can actually enthuse us and remove our fears of insecurity for future. That should not happen actually. So if we really want to be surrendered to Krishna, we have to experience this, we have to get rid of the fear of insecurity. Now, full-time devotees, especially brahmacharis and sannyasis, as a brahmachari, as a sannyasi, other sannyasis, we have this experience. Because if you want to become brahmachari, you have to leave your house, you have to leave your parents, you have to leave everything behind. And Krishna is very indebted to them, because it's very difficult to break ties with your own family members, with your father, mother, and people you love. But at the same time, if you break ties for Krishna, for being dependent on him, he is indebted to such a person. And we have this experience. What do we mean by being surrendered to Krishna? But as far as householders are concerned, they have little less experience of this, because they have money with them, they have their home, they have their security. So that actually goes on in the subconscious mind, the back of the mind. Okay, we have money for old age, or we have money which we can get treated, or we have all our settings done. So that actually brings down Krishna consciousness to a large extent. There was one, you have so many devotees joined Srila Prabhupada's movement as householders when Prabhupada was there. And what they did, when they joined Srila Prabhupada's movement, they surrendered their whole money and property to Prabhupada. It happened like that. Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciple, Sundaranand Vidya Vinod, he was one of the pillars of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's, among his disciples, one of the pillar. And he was a professor. He and his wife surrendered the entire salary to Bhakti Siddhanta, and his wife also surrendered all her ornaments in the service of the Gaudiya Math, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakurs. And they were that's really praiseworthy. You can't deal with Krishna like that. Krishna, okay, I'm surrendered to you and I keep something for me. But then that will actually hinder your surrender. That will be a problem in the long term. So it's best that we get rid of all our hangings. What is so? What do you say in Western language? Huh? No. Hang-ups. We say hang-ups. Yeah, we should get free of all our hang-ups as quickly as possible. For that, we can plan what to do. Tukaram, there was a big saint, Tukaram, in Maharashtra. You can go on Google and read about him. Tukaram, what he used to do, he was a householder. Whoever Vaishnavas used to come to his house, he used to give them freely. He used to just give them everything. So some Vaishnavas come, so he used to tell them, whatever you need, please take from my house. So those some Vaishnavas, they used to take his gas, some took his, for example, fridge, sofa, they used to take and go, and so he was left with nothing in his house. So in the last, his wife was taking bath, and some Vaishnavas came, and so there was one Mataji among that group, and that Mataji, she said, I need a sari. So what Tukaram said, because his wife was taking bath, so Tukaram gave his wife's last and only single sari to that Mataji, and she was like naked in the bathroom, and she was shouting, now what should I do? I don't have a sari. What should I wear? And actually she got pissed off. But what happened? Tukaram, he gave the last single sari to that Mataji, and he just went to do bhajan, because he knew that now I will get a real thunderstorm from my wife. But she can't come out of the bathroom because she's naked. So she was shouting, and Tukaram just went off. So what happened? Krishna personally came and he gave sari to his wife. And then his wife wore the sari, and then she went for the search of her husband to actually reprimand him and scold him. You're like crazy, You give everything to Vaishnavas, but you should keep something for yourself, at least some cloth and some food. But Tukaram, he said, well, all these things are temporary. In exchange of these temporary things, I am getting permanent things. I'm getting the blessings which is permanent. So don't worry about this temporary stuff which you have. Even this body, if necessary, I can also give this body in the service of Vaishnavas. And that, anyway, this body will get destroyed and it will be eaten by worms. But in exchange of giving a body in service of Vaishnavas, I will get eternal blessings. So that's a good business. So we are giving rotten things to Krishna and devotees, and in exchange we are getting spiritual things. That's not exactly actually a just business. That's not justice. So we offer so many things to Krishna. We offer food to him. We offer our bodies to him in his service. We offer our house. We call Vaishnavas in a house, isn't it? We try to offer so many things, but all those things are completely material and temporary. But nevertheless, Krishna by his mercy accepts them, and in return he is giving us gems, his blessings, eternal life. So in that sense, what can we give him? We can give our useless apple to him, which will anyway get rotten after some time. But nevertheless, Krishna says, okay, no problem, I'll accept it. Because why? Because there is love in that, love and devotion in that. That's why Krishna says, I will accept it. So, uh, so that's where Prabhupada says, if you surrender your life to him, which anyway is also insignificant, in exchange you will get eternal life. So why to worry about future, security? Just forget it. One life, Prabhupada says in one of his lecture, one life give to Krishna completely. Prabhupada says, one life, and then see the magic. Prabhupada's statement is there. And so I think this is the last statement of that lecture. And then everybody says, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada's time, so people were so inspired, isn't it? All of them, Prabhupada disciples, they were almost full-time. All of them, not almost, they were all full-time. Householders, brahmacharis, sannyasis anyway, Matajis, all of them were full-time. Because they believed in Prabhupada. That was the whole thing. It's not that they were hippies. Of course they were hippies and they had an edge because they already left their jobs and education and families. But nevertheless, they had faith in Prabhupada's words. And that's why they could do it. They could do that. But do we have the same faith? That's the question. Prabhupada writes here in the purport. But the question is, do we have faith? Now, our faith, that decides how much Krishna will reciprocate with us. How Krishna is going to plan for our life. That will decide. That faith. And faith requires courage. That's the whole thing there. In fact, the most courageous person on the earth is a person who leaves all his fear in the service of Krishna. That's faith. In fact, one of the philosophers, he defines courage. He defines courage as the most courageous person is he who is humble. Now that might appear contradictory, but that's how it goes. The most courageous person is a person who is humble. Why? Because a humble person will accept what Krishna says as it is, even if it might seem very, very difficult, just like this instruction. And because he can accept what Krishna says, and because why he can accept what Krishna says? Because he has the courage to leave his false ego, to leave his ideas, to go against his own logic. And that is why scriptures, I think Chandogya Upanishad says, the most courageous person is a person who is the most humble. Most humble person is the most courageous person. It's not that the most smart person is the most courageous person. That's not right. He's not courageous. And that is why I think in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quotes from Chandogya Upanishad that those who lose their soul and are involved and are entangled in their body, they are misers. 𝗙cie𝗰𝗶𝗹. And those who are focused on the soul and don't worry about their body, which is anyway useless, they are the most courageous people. So that's how it goes. So to leave thinking about your body, that means you have to leave your false ego and attachments, and to leave your attachments and false ego and to face them, that needs a lot of courage, in fact. And that is why it is often said, one of the philosophers, he said, the greatest battles are often fought within. The battle you will fight within yourself, that will be more fierce than Mahabharata. Because in that battle you will have to not face enemies, but you will have to face yourself and your own attachments and your deep subconscious scum, you understand scum? That you have to face your own personality, which is which is actually violent and lusty and demoniac. And facing that requires a lot of courage and a lot of patience, a lot of enthusiasm. And that is why Upanishads speak. Upanishads, I think Shodashadhar Upanishads, Prabhupada quotes, those who walk on the spiritual path, on the journey of self-realization, they're the most courageous people. Others are actually, what do we say? Weak. Those who are on the path of materialism and bodily platform, they are weak and they are important, as Bhagavad Gita says. Krishna calls Arjuna as important because he was acting on bodily platform. 𝗙blive masmakama partha, 𝗙ble. So these people are important actually. Namarth, in Hindi we say Namarth. Important, we say person who is not manly, isn't it? A manly person should be, he should be very, what do we say, virile? Your virility? He should have a lot of virility. And that's a manly person. So that's the whole idea of this verse. This verse, Sukadeva Goswami is appealing to us. Be courageous. Don't leave your fear, leave your insecurity, and depend on God, and then see what's going to happen. Just experiment that out. No problem. And Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna will never cheat you. This experiment is never going to fail. Because others can cheat, but Krishna will never cheat. But for that, you should have faith in Prabhupada's words. That's the whole idea. There was one person in Rajpura. He was actually surrendered to his guru, and so he's still there. He's still living, and he's into cow protection. So he told me that he was surrendered to his guru, and one fine day his guru came to his house, and his guru said, "Okay, so what job you do?" So he said, "So actually I have a gym, and also I have a shop of actually so milling the grains. I have that shop." So his guru said, "Okay, leave it, and just from today devote your whole life in cow protection." And what he did, after that he never went to his shop and gym. He just left it. So people came and stole his machines and it was like a wreck, but he never went. That's called faith. That is called faith. Why I'm giving the example? Because if I give example of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva, so you might say, oh, those examples are long back, it's impractical. But now in today's date, he has a name in cow protection. He's one of the main pillars in cow protection. So that's how it goes. So, and his guru told, if you agree to my proposal and if you leave everything from today, I bless you that nobody will be able to touch you. Even if you're surrounded by your worst enemies all around, one fine day, they will not be able to even touch you, let alone harm you. And he does cow protection. He actually fights with all these people who steal cows and brings the cows back, and so he's doing a lot of work, and his guru's blessing is working on him. So that's the whole idea there. So it's good we leave everything now, and it's good we depend on Krishna, because if we don't do that, and then Krishna will have to think for us, and he might take everything from us one fine day. 𝗙cie 𝗹𝗹𝗶 shanai, isn't it? Krishna says, I'll take everything to make you fully dependent on him. But that day, you will not get any points, because that Krishna has planned for you. You didn't willfully depend on him. Krishna plans for you, and then you are forced to do something, isn't it? So then you don't get so much points. Then you don't impress Krishna. But if you willfully do everything, just like 𝗙ષભ દેવ, Bharat Maharaj, Narottam Das Thakur, they were all very rich people and they left everything willfully. Raghunath Das Goswami, they could have enjoyed. Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit, he had a fame and name in Navdeep, but he left everything. And that impresses Krishna. If you can do something, and then you don't do it, if you have the power to do something and if you don't do it, that will impress Krishna. It's not that you don't have any power to do anything and then you don't do it. Then anyway, it's obvious, you can't do it. And it doesn't happen like that. If you don't have time and still you take out time for Krishna, Krishna is impressed. But if you have all the time, you're free and you don't do anything in your life, and then you serve Krishna, then he's not so much impressed by that. Anyway, you didn't have anything to do in life, so you are here. So every action should be willful. That's the whole idea. One of the very important points of this verse is willful action impresses Krishna. Forceful circumstances, what you do in forceful circumstances, a forceful action is not a forced action. It doesn't impress him. Willful action impresses him. So better we take a decision now, plan it out, our life, surrender to him. Many devotees in US, they just shifted to Mayapur and they're living off like full time there. They said enough is enough. Whatever savings they have, on the strength of that they went. They're staying there. Many devotees are there who go to Mayapur and they serve to their temple. And it's not that they're dying or they are like miserably suffering. They're happy. In fact, they're more happy because then they realized, my God, what we were doing back there in Seattle or Silicon Valley, what the hell we were doing. We were after money, and in fact, even Krishna consciousness was so stunted there. So plan it out. It's not necessary that you can do it now. That's not required. But you should have this concept. That's the point I'm talking. But what is happening is entirely what Bhagavatam is saying, people are doing entirely opposite to it. That's what I began the lecture. So many devotees are giving courses on mutual funds, isn't it? You have heard about that? Investments, for how to invest so that your future is secure and then you can serve Krishna nicely. There's all rubbish nonsense going on in our institution. But Bhagavatam doesn't say like that. That actually hampers our devotion to Krishna consciousness. That seems practical, much practical. Okay, in old age what you will do? So better invest. We'll tell you how to invest. You keep your savings. Then you take an action. That's not required. Because if you plan, then Krishna will stop planning for you. So it's just like parents, Parents plan everything for their kids. But when they grow up, then they plan their own life. So parents says, okay, now you are grown up, so you take your own charge and plan it for yourself, isn't it? That's how it goes. And that's why Prabhupada says, chant like a child's cry, isn't it? Become a child. Krishna loves children because children are simple and they completely depend on their parents. Children don't think about the future. They are happy. They are playing around. They have full faith that my mother, father will take care of me. That's the whole idea. So if you can't take a step now like that, no problem. But you should have this concept in your heart. One fine day, I'll completely surrender to God. But don't live with a concept which is actually detrimental to Krishna consciousness. The concept of securing a future. That will be a completely crazy idea, because that will hamper your Krishna consciousness. And Krishna will not be pleased. If Krishna is not pleased, then what we are doing here? So, okay, that's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if you cannot renounce things now, at least have a vision of renunciation. At least have a right idea in your heart, even if you cannot do anything about it now. A right idea in your heart, Krishna will appreciate that. Okay, good. At least this person is thinking according to Bhagavatam, according to the dictates, according to my dictates. He's not thinking. So he's not really leading his life according to his own speculated ideas or ideas of devotees who are trying to confuse others and making them and actually making them not dependent on Krishna in the garb of saying that this is practical Krishna consciousness. That's not the idea there. So that's why you see Christianity. So you all are in the West. So most of the devotees on this forum are in the West, and Christians, what they pray. So what's that? Let thy will be fulfilled in the heavens and on the earth, isn't it? Let thy will, let your will, God, be fulfilled in the heavens and on the earth. That is the idea. We have to fulfill His will, and we don't have to think about our own will, own ideas, own life. The more you distance yourself from yourself, the more you will be happy. That's the secret. That is the number one secret. But that's the most difficult thing, because if this is the most confidential secret, then it definitely should be the most difficult thing. And that is what is this 12th chapter, most confidential knowledge, isn't it? No. Most confidential knowledge. So which chapter? 9th chapter, most confidential knowledge. And if you read that chapter nicely, that's the knowledge. Distance yourself from yourself. And that is called devotion. That is what devotion teaches us. Devotion is this. How to disconnect yourself from yourself. That is a secret, which an ordinary man cannot even begin to comprehend. He will not be able to even understand what we are saying. But devotees can, to a certain extent. But the experience of it, that's quite difficult. But how do you do that? That's the whole thing. We want to distance yourself from yourself. Practically, what you should do? Practically, you should stop thinking about your future first. That's the step number one, which Prabhupada is mentioning here. If you're always thinking about your future, you will never be able to detach yourself from yourself. Because you can think endlessly about future. Because future has not happened yet. And future has infinite possibilities. So you can keep on thinking about yourself. And the more you think about yourself, the more you are attached to yourself. Then how do you even hope to detach yourself from yourself? It's not possible. So lead a simple, straightforward life. I have to live for Krishna. I don't have to live for myself. The more you go deeper in this concept, and the more you live this concept, the more we become dear to Krishna. That's all. That's all. Nothing more is required. Yeah, nothing more is required. That's how it goes. So, yeah. Anybody wants to ask anything, I'll stop here. Any questions? Saji has just beared a child, and the child is delivered, and now she is having tension about the child's future and security, what to do. Her husband's salary is not that much, so she's thinking. So she's asking, what is the practical solution? Because the whole lecture was, don't think about future, but here is a situation, what should we do? So the idea is, uh, of course, we have practically, you have to plan out something in your life. You can't just say, I'll close my eyes. That's not a wise decision. So whatever you have now, plan it out. Keep the plan to one side and lead your Krishna consciousness. Leave your plan in the service of Krishna, in the lotus feet of Krishna, and just lead your consciousness. Don't be stressed out. That's the whole thing. Planning and becoming obsessed about future, they are two different things. We can plan because it's our duty, but being obsessed and having fear that this plan will not work out, then what will happen, that will create stress. And that is sense gratification. All these kings, they were also planning, isn't it? They were planning about the future of their kingdom. Everybody was planning. It's not that they were not planning. Kings used to plan, Brahmanas used to plan about future of the temples, but they were not obsessed about it. They planned and they did something to fulfill their plans. But if it doesn't happen, that's okay. That's the whole thing. That's okay. If nothing works out, that's okay. We are still dependent on Krishna. That's what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said, plan it out and then leave it on Krishna. That's how we live our life. So as a mother, you have to do some planning for a child. Just get some rough plan and then leave it on Krishna. So if you do that, then you will be able to chant nicely. That's all. You have a duty, you plan it out, and you're doing something to fulfill that plan. But that's all. But once you start thinking that this plan should happen, I have planned it and it should happen like that, then you'll get stressed because now you're obsessed with your plan, and that is called as obsession with future, attachment to future. So that's the difference between obsession and actually thinking about future. That's how it goes. But I mean to say, if you want to become more advanced, then don't even think about future of your child. That's the thing. I mean to say, it's just born, your child is just born. So why do you think about the future of that child? Just born, let your child play and like drink milk. Of course, it will drink milk now. And you chant your rounds, that's all, finish. You think about the future of the child later when they're 4 or 5 years old. Now it doesn't matter, what your child is going to do in the future, what not. Who knows whether your child will even grow up. It should not happen like that, but who knows? Or who knows that you don't live. That you live to see your child grown up. You might die. So in this case, I don't think so we have to think about the future of the child. It's just delivered. That's all. So so just like if you go to a shopping and you buy a toy, you don't become tensed, isn't it, about the future of the toy? It's a toy now. You got a new toy. Just enjoy it, that's all. Be happy. You can think about the future after 3-4 years. That's common sense, That's how we should think. But nowadays, modern society, as soon as the child is born, relatives will come, okay, if it's a girl child, then dowry, and if it's a boy child, then what will happen, which school it will go, what is going to happen, what education we'll give. And the relatives will come and they will say, okay, so we're going to make him a doctor or engineer. Come on, he's just born. But it happens. Society deludes us and we get deluded. Okay?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Parth Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, the past time you shared about Nityananda Prabhu, So I was thinking, is it an offense to accumulate things
Of
with
course.
him? Like suppose even on the edge of following Krishna consciousness, suppose we are traveling in a train and we are carrying prasadam with us. So because we know that we won't get prasadam in train for in a long trip, so we want to follow Krishna consciousness. So is it an even offense that in that situation also? Because we are doing it on the edge of following Krishna consciousness.
So you can carry your lunch, but if you are more surrendered, don't carry your food. Many Christian saints, when they used to go for preaching, they didn't used to carry food. They used to depend on the Lord. Many of them, I can give you innumerable examples. Saint Francis, classical example. You see, he was a fierce preacher and used to go and he even didn't care for food. If he gets, if he gets, if he doesn't get. But if you go and train, it's just one day, maximum 1.5, 2 days. The longest train takes 2 days, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So maximum time you'll spend in train is 2 days. If you can't even stay hungry for 2 days, what we'll do in Krishna consciousness? But I mean, it's if you're really advanced. But if you really want to carry food, you can carry food. You can arrange food. Some carry some food, no problem. That's also no problem. But if you want to be really ideal, don't carry. Some you will, if you don't carry anything, then if you depend on Lord will arrange something. He will send some devotee in that train. He'll give you food. You try once. You see when I come to America, so it takes 24 hours from India to America. So, and of course, we can't take in flight, food, all this crap nonsense. So, but you can carry your own food and you can eat. That's allowed. But once I tried, I thought, okay, let's depend on Lord. Don't carry anything. So anyway, maximum thing what will happen? 24 hours fasting. Okay, fine, we'll do that. So I just left, and in the plane, I was just sitting, and right besides me there was a devotee, ISKCON devotee, and he was taking his own prasad. So he said, Prabhuji, you can have it. I told, yeah, why not? I tried many times, and Krishna arranges something or something of so, and not like any usual way. Once I was going to America through Dubai, and I didn't carry food. I thought, let me try. So so there was a Muslim besides me, a Muslim. You can imagine, like Dubai, a Muslim, and he was an engineer. So he started talking to me, and he said, what you're doing. I said, I'm a saint. Um, so I forgot to change my dress because so I was going through actually Qatar. Qatar is a real danger and a Muslim country. So I forgot to change my dress. So when he asked me, "Are you a saint?" I asked him, "How do you know your dress?" I thought, "My God, I am this." They'll just screw me up on the airport. So I didn't have any time to change. So he said, "Well," he said, I told, "Do you? So what? You don't like us or what?" So he said, "No. Actually, I'm a Muslim, and I have faith, and I respect all faith, and I'm an educated person, and I respect your faith, no problem." So he became my friend. So when we got off on the airport on Qatar, so he told me, you see, so he told me, I want to give you something to eat. So I told him, why, of all things eat. Well, he said, no, actually, I'm feeling like that. I should feed you. I told, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't want to take. So he said, no, please, please, please. So I told, well, we don't take unoffered food. So he said, no problem. I'll buy you some fruits, nice dates. In Qatar, dates. So I'll buy you some dates and this. So if he forced me to take dates and fruits, and I got food. So if you depend on Krishna, you will see there will be some miracles. You will see the hand of God. But if we don't depend, then if we arrange ourselves, then we can do, but then we'll be unable to witness the miracles of God. Miracles happen with those people who depend on Him. Otherwise, nothing will happen in your life. So, of course, this is not a miracle, having food from some person, suddenly. That's not a miracle, but it's some kind of arrangement by Lord. And that happens. One saint was there, Christian saint. She used to travel and preach on her mule. Mule means donkey. They used to use donkeys previously, not just horses. So she used to walk on her, like travel on a mule. She used to go from village to village, city to city without carrying any food. So once she went somewhere, like she was traveling, and three travelers came. They were having food, and they told, okay, we can give you food. And in the garb of giving food, they tried to rape her. They just took her on a solitary place, and they tried to rape her. So she was like, she was like calling God and what. So suddenly one person appeared, a cowboy. He appeared, and he actually shot all the three of them. They were like robbers. And after shooting them, he said, okay, now so now you can go on your way, and you'll be happy. So he told, but I have some food and I can give you some food. Please eat something because you look tired. So she ate food. Lord arranged the food. So she said, so she told that cowboy, now that we have killed them, and you have saved me, but I want to do last rites for them, Christian rites. So he said, come on, you're crazy. They were trying to rape you and kill you, and you want to do last rites for them. She said anyway. While they were living, they were trying to do some sinful thing, but now they're dead. We should do our duty. They were doing their own action. We should do our duty. So please do some last rites. And so he said, come on, you're crazy. You are doing some last rites for your God, but God didn't save you when you were being raped by these three people. I came and saved you. So why you are thinking about, even in this situation, about God? She said, well, God sent you to save me. It's not that you saved me. He sent you on the right time to save me, and I'm saved. And he also provided food through you. So there's no problem with me. She was a saint. That's why she was a saint. That is why she was a saint. And other Christians are not saint, because she depends. So you can try not to carry food. Just 6-7 hours, you can do that. Do some experiment and see what Krishna does. One way is that.
So in a subtle way, is it
What's that? Yeah.
Is it an offensive mentality to accumulate things? Because Nityananda Prabhu told, no, you leave my party. So
No, it's not sinful, but the whole thing is, for a renunciate it is sinful. For a householder, you have to have some kind of arrangement with you. But for a renunciate, he was a renunciate, Vrindavan Das Thakur. And at that time, Nityananda Prabhu's rules were very strict. But now, in modern terms, when we are preaching sannyasis and brahmacharis, we have our laptops, we have our things, So what do you do with that? But we should not be attached with that. That's the whole point there. The idea is as less as possible. That's the idea. Bas. Now you have to see your conscience, you have to see your necessities. Don't make your greed as your need. Don't do that. Otherwise you'll be in a fix. And go for minimalism. That's the whole thing. Minimalist, as less as possible. Because it is said in philosophy, less is more. Always remember that. Less is more. Even in science, less is more. Always remember. That's how it goes.
okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, just
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, also, if we know we're going somewhere, shouldn't you just be prepared and take the food with you? Then troubling Krishna for something that you already know. Because
it's
to help themselves.
Yeah, actually,
Would you sort of want to test him like that?
no, actually, it's not troubling him, because, and neither we are going to test him. That's the whole thing. Of course, it might seem okay, so I'll not carry food, and let's see what the Lord does. That's not the whole, with the whole consciousness we are traveling. We are traveling with the consciousness. Krishna's order is there. We depend on me. Don't think about the necessities, and we don't expect anything from Lord. So in that sense, it's not a test.
Yeah.
It's not a test. Okay, let's follow his order.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's the whole thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. We have questions in the chat. Okay. RJ Darcy Mataji. How humble person is most courageous devotee? Can you explain?
Oh, one thing. So just an answer for previous question. There was one saint, Gyaneshwari, in Maharashtra. Gyaneshwari, Tukaram, and who was that? Jidubai and all. So Gyaneshwari, so Sant Gyaneshwar, he was there. He has written a book, Gyaneshwari. So what happened was he was going to take bath, and one person who was envious of him, he was sitting there. And when he came back from his bath in the Ganges, that person, he was a Muslim, and he was like really envious with this saint. So he just he was eating pan, and he threw his pan on him like that. He actually spat his pan. Is like, what do we say? Yeah. He so he actually spat his
Literally.
everything on this on him. So then he had to go again and take bath, isn't it? He again went and took bath, and then he came back again. He spat on him. He again went and took bath, and this happened 23 times. He was spitting, he was taking bath, spitting, taking bath. But Gyaneshwar was not becoming frustrated. What's happening? And so every time he was going to take bath, so every time that person spat on him, he said thank you. He went and took bath, and after 23rd time, that person who was spitting on him, he got really mad. He said, "Come on, what kind of person you are? You're not getting frustrated. What's happening?" So Gyaneshwar said, "Well, I'm so thankful to you because today's Purnima." He said, "Today's Purnima." And it is said in scriptures that anybody who takes bath on the Purnima in Ganges for 23 times, he will get millions of punyas. So I'm very thankful to you that you made me bathe for 23 times. So that's the whole idea. So if you don't take food for your journey, and if you depend on Lord, and if the Lord gives you food, you'll be so happy. It's Krishna arranged for me food. And if he doesn't arrange any food, still you'll be happy. That's Krishna's mercy that he didn't arrange food for me. Probably because maybe it's good for me, because maybe he wanted me to fast so that I remain healthy. Maybe in his wisdom, he thinks, I don't want to give food to him or her. Today he should fast, or she should fast, and it is best for him. So either ways, we are happy in that thing. We don't expect anything from him, but we follow his orders, and then we always thank him in whatever situation we are. That's how it goes. Okay, now you can ask me a question.
Thank you, Prabhu. We have Priyanka Nagar Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you very much. Prabhuji, you are telling that some people tells us in his phone that you make your future, think about your future. So they devotees give the excuse that if you don't think about your future and in the last time, then you just trouble. You will always thinking about your money and saving.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. It's all nonsense ideas. Prabhupada never says that. If they can show what Prabhupada says that, then we will agree to them. Prabhupada never says in his books. Always Prabhupada is saying that don't worry about your future, depend on Krishna. Always. So you should ask them from where they are speaking. Whether Prabhupada said, whether Bhakti Santa said, whether Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, nobody said like that. That's not spirituality. That is called materialistic thinking.
I'm not used to listen now.
Okay.
But I remember what are
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah, people speak like that. Yeah, just forget them. You're right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. And we have Shiraj Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, just like you were mentioning this point of this kind of preaching, like telling if you can't get a good job and all those things. So, can we relate it to the third offense? Anyway, it is offending to Acharya Srila Prabhupada.
What is offending?
Am I not audible?
Yeah, you're audible, but I cannot get your question.
Prabhuji, I was telling that can we relate what you were telling that this nonsense kind of preaching, like people are telling you can't get a good job.
Yeah, of course, you're right. That kind of preaching is offensive to Prabhupada. Prabhupada is saying something else and they are saying something else. So why they want to say something else what Prabhupada doesn't want? Doesn't make any sense, no?
Yes, sir.
So
That was on
Yeah.
to third offense.
it seems isn't it? If you don't repeat what your Acharya says, then what is that? Isn't that speculation?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Amit Sharma Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I am audible. Hello, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, you're audible.
Hello, you don't speak hello.
Prabhuji, when you yes, you are. Prabhuji, when you say we should depend on Krishna, then what are the things which should be taken care of?
क्या वो I can't hear you. सुनाई नहीं दे रहा मुझे.
I am audible.
हाँ.
Hello, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please tell me.
Can you hear us, Prabhu?
Yes, I can hear you.
No, Prabhu, I'm not asking. I'm asking Keshav Anand Prabhu. Can you hear us, Prabhu?
Yeah, I can hear you, but his question is not clear to me.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Prabhu. Amit Sharma Prabhu, please put your question.
Prabhuji, my question is that when you say we should depend on Krishna, then what are the things which should be taken care of? Like we should accept the things what God says or Krishna says, and like more. I want more clarity on this. What are the things which should be taken care of when you say we should depend on Krishna?
Being dependent on Krishna means read Bhagavad Gita and whatever Krishna says, follow that. Bas. There are so many instructions. Follow as far as possible you can. Being dependent on God means being dependent on His law. That is the principle. If we are not dependent on the law of God, on the words of God, we are not dependent on God. If we don't follow what He says, then we are dependent on Him in our mind, in our imagination. It doesn't help. So whatever Prabhupada says, whatever Krishna says, if you try to do it as much as possible, the more you try to do what they say about Parampara and Krishna, the more we are dependent. As simple as that.
Maybe Prabhu is referring to the point that you said that we should try and maintain Krishna. Well, what does that mean? Do we study to maintain Krishna? Do we chant to maintain Krishna? What is the maintain?
Maintain?
You used the word to maintain. We do not seek to maintain ourselves, but we maintain Krishna.
Oh, yeah. When the devotee is asking here, what do we mean by maintaining Krishna? Like, so I told, don't try to maintain yourself. Don't try to secure yourself. Secure Krishna. So that means try to secure His name and fame by preaching. Try to secure His devotees. Serve them. Think about their security. The security of their devotion, not their financial conditions. And try to maintain his words by following it yourself and helping others to follow his law. Try to maintain his law in this word. That's what we mean. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Do you have time, Prabhu? We have few questions in the chat.
Few. Any very important question, or like it's just like if it goes on, then some questions.
Okay, Prabhu. We'll keep for 10 minutes, last 10 minutes for questions. Prabhu? Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay. So there is a question like, how is a humble person is most courageous to be? Can you please explain?
Explain, no? A humble person is most courageous because you need courage to leave your false ego. And humbleness means leaving your false ego. So that is why he's the most courageous person.
How does faith grow every day? How can we know about it?
How does faith grow every day?
How can we know about it?
How can we know? It doesn't sprout, no? Like, there's no... Faith sprouts in philosophy. But you can know that your faith is growing by your chanting. If you're going deeper in your chanting, if your mind is getting purified, and if you are having more enthusiasm to follow the laws of God, then your faith is growing.
So there is one question like, which one is between Krishna or Krishna should be pronounced during japa?
Come
What's
on.
the correct way of pronouncing Krishna?
I just forgot this question. Do you think it's a worthwhile question? You speak anything, Krishna, Krishna, whatever you speak. Just think about Krishna, that's all. You can also speak Krishna, you can also speak Kashna, or you can speak anything, but you have to think about, of course, you can't speak Tommy and you have to somehow speak Krishna, but think about him. That's more important.
Thank you, Prabhu. And there is one question from Austin Mataji. She is asking, as a Mataji, how can I just leave everything? I mean, detach from myself. Like, if I'm a Prabhuji, I will go to temple and leave everything. But as Mataji, how can I do?
Mataji, what do you want to leave? You want to leave your house and husband or what? So you can't, as Mataji, you can also leave. So if you believe in feminism and modern concepts, then you can leave. But in social construct in India, you can't do much things. At least in Indian families, you can't leave. It's not required to leave anything. You have to leave your false ego. That's the whole point. Because if we, as a male, now you are thinking as a male, if I was a male, I could have left. But that's thinking about future, isn't it? If I was a male and I could have left, then it was better. But who knows that for you becoming female is much better? If you were male, if by chance you were male and you couldn't leave and you were like messed up as a male, then what was the point of becoming a male? So this thinking is wrong. If I was this, then, or if and then. That's Maya, if and then. If and then was a clause in computers, logic gates. If this happens, then that happens. If, then. That is the whole problem. Don't think, 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗶𝗹 tanu vang mano bhir. Wherever you are, be satisfied and do your best. Bas.
Thank you. So one last question. How do you deal with guilt and repentance if you are unable to follow some of the instructions and it's affecting enthusiasm to execute devotion?
Yeah, guilt and repentance is there. Krishna says we should have the guilt, we should also repent. But we should do in such a fashion that it enthuses us to move in devotion. But sometimes it's very difficult because there are so many nasty habits which we can't overcome. And then again we have a permanent guilt, and We have a repeated repentance. And that creates frustration, isn't it? That creates a lot of frustration. But at the same time, we have to also understand the nature of God. The nature of God is such that even if you repent and have guilt for eternity, and if you're not, and if you're unable to overcome your bad habits or bad desires, still Krishna will forgive you. Krishna will forgive us thousands or infinite times until unless you repent and you have a guilt, because he unlike us, he is like mother and father. No matter how many times the child does mistake, mother father will always forgive them, isn't it? Mother father will never say that I will now not forgive you. That's not possible. So Krishna is our eternal mother and father. Think about his nature and then you will be comforted. If you think about yourself and your guilt and repent only, then your mind will get stressed. But you have to bring Krishna in the picture. Think about him. And be enthused that he will forgive you, and he is looking forward that when you will become pure and you will overcome your whatever blocks are there. And that will help you to actually overcome your blocks. How do we feel that we are in presence of divine while doing japa? It needs practice. There is no magical. You see, I don't sell some product on Amazon.com and .in that you'll drink it and you'll feel the presence. It doesn't happen like that. It will not happen like that. It needs a lot of practice. But in the practice, what you have to do is you have to chant with this feeling that Krishna is his holy name. Abhinnatvam nam namino. And you will get your own experience. I cannot give my experience to you. Neither our guru can give that experience. You have to have that experience, but you will have that experience once you hanker for that experience. I want to feel the presence of Krishna. Just chant with that hankering, and one day you will get. Patience is required. There is no other magical formula for this.